Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse 0 Hour Extant. He's a red platinum. I was able to order him from the Walmart website, so let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, ages 12 plus, includes exclusive comic book in the English language. McFarlane Platinum Edition Extant, DC Direct. Here he is in the package. We have a total of 4 interchangeable hands, collector's card, and display stand. He also has a comic book, which is a reprint of 0 Hour number 4. At the bottom, there's his barcode if it helps. So with no further ado, let's open him up. Alright, now that we've got this figure out of the package, here he is with all the accessories laid out. We have a display stand, a collector's card, a reprint of 0 Hour number 4, a total of 4 interchangeable hands. Before taking a look at all that, let's talk about and check out this figure. So this is Extant. He's a supervillain, and it's an evil version of the hero Hank Hall, which is Hawk from the Hawk and Dove duo. He first appeared as the villain Monarch in the Armageddon 2001 storyline. He uses his powers to manipulate time. He has the ability to alter history, manipulate time, and change events. Now I remember when 0 Hour happened back in the 90s. I love all the sort of 90s love that McFarlane is giving us. A lot of people, we were kids in the 90s reading comics, and now we're adults. We want figures of them, and that is what McFarlane is giving for at least some of these storylines. Emerald Twilight, Nightfall, 0 Hour, Armageddon, and more. Let's not forget Death and Return of Superman. So I'm not really that familiar with the Extant character. I do remember 0 Hour, but I was mostly reading the Batman stuff, and it was pretty cool having like the old school Batgirl and the old school Robin interacting with some of the more modern characters. So let's take a closer look. So this guy always sort of gives me Magneto vibes. I mean, it's not Magneto, but just the first thing I think of. Red sort of helmet, purple cape, etc. He even has that sort of thing across his chest, which almost looks like an X. So, starting with his face, looks good. His head is red, and he's got that black on his face. White teeth, white eyes sticking out. Then he has this little harness here holding his cape. And it looks okay. Mine seems to be a little bit crooked, which is going to bother the hell out of me. He's using that textured body, which is typically used for Green Lantern Corps members. But I am a fan of this body. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, cloth soft goods purple cape with a bendy wire on the inside. There are so many figures that don't have the bendy wire. It's refreshing to finally have one that does. Darker purple on the outside, lighter purple, almost pink on the inside. Looks good. This is not a character that was on my want list, but I'm still happy to add him to my collection. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. And then, here's his figure, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories, and let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand, typical McFarlane display stand we've seen countless times before. And then we have his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Extant, in front of sort of a yellow and orange background. Extant. On the back, there is a description. If you're going to read that, pause now. Now let's look at this comic. This is a reprint of 0 Hour Crisis in Time, number 4. Superman came with the same book. So as you can see at the top, we have the 90s DC logo, issue number 4. The end of today, 0 Hour Crisis in Time, DC Universe. Here's the front. We have Extant holding Flash's mask, Barbara Gordon Batgirl, who would be crippled at the time, but came back through the manipulation of the time. Superman looking like the Page Puncher. Batman, Wave Rider, Green Lantern, and tons of Hawkman. Inside the book here, I like this kind of art. Barbara Gordon, Joker, Darkseid, Mobius Chair, Metron. A lot of cool stuff going on. Hoping to see an image of Extant in here. I'm sure he's in there. There we go. So, pretty cool. The back. DC. Now let's look at his hands. He has a total of 4 hands, 2 left hands, and 2 right hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. And here's his alternate pair of hands. His right hand looks like a grabbing hand, and his left hand is a gripping hand with a trigger finger. Now I wanted to talk about his cape. He has a cloth soft goods cape. It's made of that sort of shiny looking material. It doesn't feel as bad as some of them. Like I said, kind of shiny. He's got a bendy wire on either side. On the inside it's a little more flat, but pink looking. So you can get the cape to achieve numerous different poses. One thing I like to do with a hero figure, and this guy is not a hero, but it's the same type concept, have the cape flowing in the wind. An easy way to do this is just simply take it to the side, wrap it over your finger, back down over another finger, and then back up again. Take the other side, just sort of shove it in there to match, and you have a quick makeshift version of Extant with his cape flowing in the wind. And I could spend a little more time making it look better, but honestly it looks pretty damn good. You kind of have some of the natural wrinkles there, and it works. It sure as hell looks like his cape is flowing in the wind. Now to check out the reuse differences and similarities between Extant here and some previous McFarlane figures. And like I said, this body is typically used for Green Lantern Corps members, but I don't mind when they stray as long as it kind of works, which I'd say it does in his case. So let's take a closer look. Obviously the heads are totally different. And as we go further down, I would say the torso and stomach area looks to be the same muscle sculpt, same texturing. The arms are also the same. The little glove cut here is probably not exactly appropriate for him, as it looks like his gloves go up to here. The diaper piece is the same. You can see the same sort of wrinkle here on the side. And then the legs down to the feet are the same. So it is 100% the same figure. Same sculpt, same articulation, different head. It's a different hand here, but I'm sure it's not brand new on him. And he has this harness added on top with the cape. Here are all the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures that utilize his base body. I count a total of 17, 4 of which are not lanterns. And Deathstroke here also utilizes some of the same pieces, mostly the stomach and the upper legs, so I'd say it's not the same base body. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, let's take a look at his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing about 7.1 inches tall, which can translate to around 18 centimeters. And for his articulation, starting with his head, of course, it can rotate side to side. He can look up, really not at all, down quite a bit. Can't tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint goes up more than 90 degrees. Up, down, around. He's got a butterfly ring between his shoulder and chest, increase the range of motion and cover the gap that would be there. He's got a bicep cut, it looks pretty tight. Double jointed elbows. His wrist can rotate and it's hinged as well. Ball joint in his torso. Rotate around, forward and back. Another one in his waist. Rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, very good range of motion in the torso area. Legs, complete as splits. McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation is minimal, but there. Legs go forward, about that far. Back, not at all. Double jointed knees. And then his ankle, forward and back. Rotate, tilt, rock, and toe articulation. Here's a look at Extant, floating in the sky, just watching as he's unraveling time and seeing events unfold differently than they did before. Now let's check them out. Next is some other action figures, starting off with some other Hank Hall figures. And unfortunately, I don't have any Hawk figures whatsoever. I'm actually surprised McFarlane hasn't made Hawk and Dove at this point. Here's Extant next to Monarch. So Monarch here is Hank Hall. First he was Hawk, then Hank Hall, and then renames himself to Extant for the 0 Hour Crisis in Time event. Here are all the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures specifically labeled 0 Hour. We have a couple of versions of Hawkman, Extant, and Superman. I would love to see Wave Rider, maybe an older teen version of Dick Grayson. They could do a classic Batgirl, a modern Batman, all kind of stuff from 0 Hour. Flash, a big part as well. Wally West. Here he is, next to a couple of other characters from Zero Hour. We have Wave Rider, but this is actually not the right version of Wave Rider from 0 Hour. And then the classic Barbara Gordon Batgirl and Dick Grayson Robin. This is about the exact version of Batgirl that was at 0 Hour. And the Dick Grayson Robin, yeah, this is a pretty young, small version. The one at 0 Hour is a little bit older, the Teen Wonder. It was really cool seeing those comics and seeing some of these characters that were phased away or have changed, like Barbara Gordon Oracle, Dick Grayson Nightwing, in their older identities, walking around Gotham, interacting with the characters, and seeing how things have unfolded over the years. And since this Cyborg Superman is a Platinum Chase variant, I wanted to take a look at all the different McFarlane DC Multiverse Platinum Chase variants out there. Here are all the sort of older Platinum Chase variants. Gold, bronze, unpainted, and then some newer versions. And then here are all the 2024 Platinum Chase variants. Boy, they released a lot last year, and I'm sure there's a ton to come this year. And here are all the Platinum Chase variants that came out in 2025. They've made quite a few of them this year. So far, we have 22 red platinums on the right and 25 silver platinums on the left. And I have almost each and every one. Still trying to hunt down the platinum version of the Collector's Edition Beast Boy. Hopefully, he'll show up eventually. Now let's check him out next to some other page punchers. Here he is, next to the rest of his wave. We have the 0 Hour Superman and Extant, and then the Crisis on Infinite Earths, Joker, and Cheetah. And here he is, next to the previous wave of page punchers. We have the Golden Age Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, and both the regular and platinum versions of Superboy. And then here's the page puncher wave before that. We have both the regular and platinum versions of Deathstroke and Damian Wayne Robin. Now let's check him out next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the two most recent Mega figures, Glow-in-the-Dark Bane and Failsafe. Here's Extant, next to the Batman Returns wave, Batman, Catwoman, Max Schreck, a couple versions of Penguin, and his Penguin Commandos. And here he is, next to the most recent Batman comic wave. We have Batman Incorporated Batman, Earth 2 Batman, Black Mask as Batman, Hush Riddler, and the DC Classics Scarecrow and Batgirl. Then, with both the pink and rainbow Batman figures, and now with some recent paint variants, we have the Jokerized Hush Batman, the Black and White Accent Flashpoint Batman, the cover recreation Emerald Twilight Green Lantern, and then the Nightmare and Jokerized Superman figures. Here's Extant, next to the Atom Smasher vs. Spectre 2-pack, and here, next to the 7th Digital Wave, Red Tornado, Batgirl, and Blackfire. Then, with the most recent wave of Collector's Edition figures, both the regular and platinum versions of Batman with the Mobius chair and Dr. Midnight, and now with the Ben Affleck Batman that came with the Batcycle, and the Rebirth Batman 2.0, and finally, with the Red Platinum Guardian and Dark Flash figures. Now let's check him out next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they are typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the large action figure lines I collect, and then work my way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figures, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale, and now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures and Diamond Select toys. Here's Extant, next to an Alani energy drink, and here he is, with some DC Direct and NECA figures. Then, with both some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures, and now, with some Mezco and Mattel DC figures. Next, with some Mafex and Hasbro Marvel Legends, and finally, with some SH Figure Arts and Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, it's a pretty cool figure. I really like the way his face looks. The sort of red, but the black part with his face looks awesome on the front. I think the harness looks pretty cool on his chest. I'm a fan of this base body with the texturing, although I do prefer it on a Green Lantern Corps member. And we have the cape with the bendy wire. Really happy whenever they do that. His accessories, he just has an extra pair of hands, pretty much non-existent, although I don't really know what he would come with besides some energy effects. And there are definitely numerous different kinds he could have come with. His articulation is everything you'd expect from a modern McFarlane figure, and his sculpt and paint job are excellent. If I were to rate this guy, Probably give him a 7 out of 10. I mean, it's not a character I wanted, but having the figure in hand, he's pretty nice. Looking at him, really the only glaring issues are going to be sort of the Green Lantern boots and gloves that are sculpted on there and don't really match what this guy is. But that's really a small thing, not a big deal at all. Like I said, it's a character I didn't really ever think that I needed. I would rather have the Hawk version of him, but I am definitely happy to have him in the collection, and I hope they expand on these 0 Hour figures. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional extra video reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.